So from an artistic standpoint, I would have went to acting school at that point. But from like a business standpoint, man. And this is the thing you can't do when you're older though. Every single thing those professors and teachers and adults told us, you get to it on the other side.
Right.
I remember they always say, "Hey man, you got to
Right.
network." Because life teaches you. Nobody cares what you can do. Nobody cares if you're good at it. Are you my friend? And are you connected to somebody that could benefit me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what it ends up being. But they would tell us that you kind of just it kind of goes in and goes back out. And Dr. Mack at Central, she used to always be talking about having your resume together and thinking about what job you can get. Taking your experiences and applying that, because it's still the same thing. As an actor, I have to go through my acting reels, and then I have to write down what are my experiences in the most selling way, so people will want to work with me in that regard. Then as a comedian, the whole job is branding. Being funny is for the artist. In terms of business, it's about your brand. So those things never go away. Being prepared, my goodness, man. Like from an actor standpoint, doing the college theater, man, I used to be the last one to get off book when I did those plays. I wasn't the best at character development. The director would push me into that. Coming on the flip side of it, in the city, get an acting job and show up to rehearsal and don't know your lines, and watch how quick you get fired, which has happened to me before. It's happened to me before. I got the shoot was that weekend, and I showed up, man. And when I see the actors that was on there, man, I don't know everybody's name, but it was one chick from Being Mary Jane, and there was another dude from Power and Wu-Tang. Man, I show up like such a comedian, bro, because I'm just looking at, I did the audition, and I got it. And, to me, it's just a date on my calendar. Had the script for a month, never looked at it. I showed up to the rehearsal, and, I'm at that time, I used to ad-lib whenever I would act. That was just my thing for whatever reason. So I'm in there like ad-libbing, trying to be funny. The other scene partner, he's laughing. So I'm like, oh, word. I'm just like not knowing that he's in the scene. I'm being such a comedian, trying to make them laugh or whatever. And, just like some hood type of thing, right? And then the director, she just like looking at me. Looking at me, bro. And then as the rehearsal goes on, she was just like, "Hey, do you have any Timbs?" And I was like, at the time, bro, I used to wear like Steve Madden boots. You know what I'm saying? Because if you wear like, this is the thing that a lot of people don't know is like when you a broke dude and you trying to hide the poverty. If you wear like a nice watch and some Steve Madden boots, women can't easily identify how much money you do or don't have.
Oh man, so that's the cheat code,
guess, right? They never know. So that was my thing at that time, right? And so I'm looking at myself like, yo, this is how I dress, She's just like, okay. And then, we're doing it. And I think something happened where I got loud. And, as an actor, my Southern accent is a negative because most films, people don't have my accent. It's New York or LA types of sound, even though that's not the sound of the majority of the country. That's the sound of TV and film is New York and LA. So as I got loud, my full accent comes out. And she's like, yo, where you from? And everybody from our town, we prideful people. I was like, yeah, I'm from Durham, North Carolina. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, well, this character's kind of supposed to be from Brooklyn. Huh. And she was just like that. And then, the shoot was that weekend. Like 2 days passed and nobody hit me up about like where the shoot is going to be. So I'm like, okay, I emailed them, didn't hear nothing. 2 more days passed. Hey, we're moving in a different direction. Thank you for your services. And I was pissed off at that time. But in retrospect, I know if I would have showed up, let's say I didn't have the accent in the boots, right? But if I showed up knowing my lines, she would have worked with me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I showed up completely unprepared. And obviously I would never do that again. But a huge lesson was learned from that. And going back to those professors who talked to you about being prepared. The simplest lesson.
I
doing your
appreciate you.
homework.
I appreciate you sharing that. I do appreciate you sharing that because, as a professional, and so part of my job as a professional, I work with a lot of our new hires who come in fresh out of school. They struggle with what we're talking about right here, right now. They struggle with being thorough and prepared for the job at hand. Like, it's one thing to show up, but it's another to show up like knowing your lines, for lack of better words. And not just as an actor, but you got to know your lines, and no matter what role you're in. Like, I think it's a bigger metaphor for how we show up for life to some degree, because if you don't know your lines and you didn't put in the prep, like at the end of the day, you don't know when the movie will get shot. You don't know when it'll get released or anything, but you don't stand a chance unless you do what's within your control to move the needle forward. And so, like, I appreciate you sharing that sort of experience and how it sort of in retrospect helped you. I guess what my question is like, when you were transitioning into this space as a artist, actor, doing more of the fine arts, like before you left North Carolina, like, did you have any humbling experiences locally that like where you was like, man, like I'd be curious to hear what was that like for you in terms of maybe something that might have humbled you early on before you even got to New York, like just here being in North Carolina.
I mean, everything about when you're a stand-up comedian, everything is humbling because it's an art form that you can't lie with. You know what I mean? You can't tell lies, meaning that if you don't know what you're doing, you can't fake it. You know what I mean? If you're on stage telling jokes that aren't yours or aren't your perspectives, the audience is going to read, right through that or whatever. So that the art form is constantly humbling you to, tell the truth. You lying today. You trying too hard. Tell the truth. So those are always happening at the beginning because, as a beginner, what happens is you're the funny guy in your friend group. You know what I'm saying? You're like, I make my friends laugh all day. I can be a comedian. But then when you go to a show, these are strangers and they don't know you. And so what would happen early on is I would do stuff on campus and I'd be hilarious. Then I'd go to like the local comedy spot. I think it was Time Out on 55 Miami Boulevard or something like that at the time, right? And then I would bomb. And I was like so confused. I was like, how come I'm so funny here, but not here? And I didn't understand that for a while. And then eventually, obviously, your set gets better, right?
And that's just in Durham. Like, that's not even Durham, like right? That's not even like a crazy, spread of like differences, if you will. Like, this is like just going from one part of Durham to another. It didn't resonate.
Yeah, just because they're not your. And on top of that, I'm a college. What happens is you're a college kid. Most comedy audiences are like 30 and up on average. You may have some sprinkles of some younger folk, but in general, it's 30 and up. So you got some college kid in there, and these people have lived life. I'm showing up wearing orange polo shoes.